I want to state to you that because of government entitlement programs, a community like Harlem or like South Bronx or in communities, even in cities like Detroit, where you have large African American, if you must, and I use that term reservedly, populations of people, there is within a hard economic times, such as what we're experiencing now, these communities do not experience a large shift in the flow of income into the community. If you're talking, Opelika, Florida, south side of Chicago, Detroit, or south central Los Angeles, or Harlem, or Bedford-Stuyvesant, these communities do not necessarily experience a drop in their economic strength. And let me tell you why. Mainly because of a large number of people in urban settings such as this community are on some sort of an entitlement program, disability program, some sort of Section 8 housing or subsistence or assistance programs of the government, including schooling, clothing, food, and many of the businesses within the community also are participants in government programs along with churches. And therefore, because the government does not cut back during a time of economic drought, a large number of people within communities such as this, as compared to, let's say, Terre Haute, Indiana, or Indianapolis, Indiana, or some other suburb of Indiana where there are a working class people and maybe a lower to middle class or upper middle class working class people who depend upon jobs, factories, who do not depend upon entitlement programs in order to exist. A community like Terre Haute, Indiana, would immediately see its unemployment numbers rise as high as 30–40%, where in an economic drought such as what we're in at present. But a community like Harlem will see no rise in unemployment. Now, mind you, I'm going to get to that unemployment has always been traditionally high, but you may not necessarily see a discomfort in the lifestyles of people because most people are on government subsidies. While I'm saying that, let me say this. CNN issued a report over last week, and they restated that report this week, that this year, 2009, has seen the largest increase in government salaries paid to government employees than in the history of government record keeping about salaries and its employees. There are two phenomena that we need to watch in this particular Obama administration. Number one is more people are now working for the federal government, a government that is pretty much recession-proof, or jobs that are fairly recession-proof. More people are working for the government now than ever in the history of the world in terms of the American government. More people are government employed. And the salaries are higher today than they've ever been in the history of American salaries for government employees. Let me give you a general idea of how that works. The average American salary across the board from Seattle, Washington to SeaWorld, Orlando, Florida, the average salary is $41,000 per year. That is the mean or average salary for the American worker working in private industry. The average salary for a government employee from Seattle, Washington to SeaWorld, Orlando, Florida is $71,000 per year, almost twice as much if you're working for the federal government. Even as a parks and recreations director, you make more than a school teacher or a nurse in a hospital if you're working for the government. I mean, the government employees got it going on like you won't believe. They got it going on. So now it is, and then there also the CNN report stated that over 800,000 government employees at present earn more than $150,000 per year. Forget about the average of 71,000, but more than 800,000 government employees earn more than $150,000 a year, and many of them are without college degrees. Plus, they have an average benefit package of Cadillac health insurance programs, travel expenses, meals, of other subsidies and pension program payments that total another $40,000 a year. So let's say, for instance, you're a government employee, you're making $90,000 a year. Then you get kicked in a benefit package of $40,000 a year, which in actuality, your salary is $130,000 a year. Now, this has mainly come about since the socialists, if you will, first stop, communists, if you must, second stop, alleged President Obama has come to power, that salaries and employees for the government are just having one beautiful time in terms of taxpayers paying these exorbitant salaries. I think there needs to be a tax revolt. Right now, the federal government has just voted to increase the deficit by $1.5 trillion on top of a $12 trillion deficit, kicking the money that the government owes up to $14 trillion this year under the Obama administration. There's never been an increase such as what we're presently experiencing. The government is not paying their bills, yet they want to put you in jail. They want to put a levy on your bank account. You go to write a check. Your check bounces from here to kingdom come. You call the bank and find out why. They tell you because the government has slapped the levy on your checking account. Now you got no access to your money. You got no access to paying your bills. They didn't tell you. And it's over a tax amount of $6.95. When the government is not paying their bills, yet they will put you in jail and they will charge you interest plus penalties. Mind you, the banks only charge you interest. The government will charge you interest plus penalties. I mean, like death penalties. Like, first we're going to charge you 30% interest for not paying your tax bill. Then we're going to charge you a $150 penalty on every $1,000 that you owe every month. I mean, this is ridiculous. So the deal is, if you couldn't, for whatever reason, pay the initial taxes, if you couldn't, for whatever reason, pay the initial taxes, how in God's heaven and earth are you going to be able to pay the tax bill, the penalty, plus the interest? It's ridiculous. But the thing I want you to focus on is that in impoverished communities where a large number of people on government programs, disability programs, they don't notice in a great recession, they don't notice a fluctuation in income because their income comes from a recession-proof government payment every first of the month. However, I do need to say this, in good times, however, and unemployment in the ghettos, if you will, the urban communities, is always very high, no matter where, whether it's South Central Los Angeles or whether it's in Detroit, whether it's in Bedford-Stuyvesant. You know, unemployment is always very high. There was a time when unemployment reached 1 out of every 2 black men in New York City did not have a job. It's still pretty much that at present. So unemployment is always very high. I want to at least temper my statement that most black communities are recession or depression proof, mainly because most black communities are government subsidized through programs that support them, everything from the cradle to the grave. I don't think that's a good thing. I think that's a bad thing. I think we'd be better off riding the roller coaster of the economy like everybody else, earning $150,000 a year or earning $100,000 a year and then seeing your job cut. I would prefer that a million times over to what is now the par for the course in black communities. But we need to at least express that many blacks are still able to, if within the urban, their disability checks are still the same. Even though people in Terre Haute, Indiana are struggling. I mean, their businesses are closing down, Main Street's closing down, stores are closing down, drugstores, local stores, mom and pop stores, Terre Haute, Indiana, going by the way of cut flour. While in a community like Harlem, no such thing happens because people get their regular monthly check from the government, whereas in Terre Haute, you get got by the government. ATLAH. That's what God said. That's what God said.